Hi, everybody. I think I'm live. So I will take a second to introduce myself. My name is Melanie Sibley. I am a licensed clinical social worker with a private practice in Champaign, Illinois, where I specialize in helping people who struggle with anxiety, addiction, trauma, and depression. And today I'm going to be talking about grounding specifically, which, although useful for many different things, especially useful for those really intense physical or those intense negative emotions, anxiety, panic attacks, when you're being flooded by your emotions, grounding can be super useful to kind of put some distance between you and those negative emotions and help you ground yourself in the present and be able to function. Grounding is also super good for people who are dissociating. So I'm not going to go into a big explanation about that. Chances are good that you would know if you're working with the therapist. We'll say dissociating, we can think of it as being foggy or just kind of checked out, not really present, just kind of not here all the way. So those are the primary reasons. Also, I will say for dissociating, the grounding exercises I'm going to do over the next couple of weeks are great. But really, the best thing I've found for people when they're dissociating, this is going to sound so rando, but get a ball or a stuffed animal or something and play catch with somebody. When I am working, and if I have a client in session, kind of check out, go away, dissociate, I have a pink elephant stuffed animal. So I have my pink elephant, and we'll just start tossing it back and forth for a couple minutes. We will move away from the topic that dissociated them, talk about fun things, pleasant things, gentle things, and that usually brings them back into their body and into this moment quickly. So if you struggle with dissociating, my first go-to suggestion would be to go ahead and throw a ball, throw something. I'm curious, and I don't know if throwing it up in the air and just catching it is effective. So if you go try that, let me know if it works or not. It's really weird that I don't know that. I know throwing sounds like a weird way to ground. Super effective. Okay, so with that being said, I'm going to go through the mental grounding script that I have. Haha, so I'll be kind of reading, but I do this a lot, so it's reading, not reading, kind of like I do with Complex and other things. I have this script already up on my website under the blog, and then, of course, this video goes from Facebook to YouTube, and then from YouTube to my website. So if you want to listen to me and do this with me, this will be available in several different places. So I want you to start by reminding yourself that you are safe. You are here in this moment. If you have created a container, go ahead and pull up your container, open it up, and put all these intense negative emotions and thoughts into your container. Close your container, lock it, and go ahead and leave it. I always say leave it in my office with my Buddha, my big white Buddha that you've seen in other videos. Go ahead and leave your container there. If you don't have a container, that's okay too. Try to imagine putting a buffer between you and all of your negative emotions. Imagine that your feelings are bundled up and put in some kind of a container. Now, think of something you can put between you and that container of negative feelings. Perhaps it's a wall, a suit of armor, or a big open field in the country. Anything that creates safe distance between you and your negative feelings. Take a couple moments and go ahead and do that now. Good. Now let's focus on the room that you're in. Go ahead and look around the room and name as many colors as you can. While you're doing that, I'm going to grab a stopwatch so that I have a feel for how long I'm leaving you guys counting. Okay, that's good. Now, name as many objects as you can. How many chairs are there? How many windows? If you can look outside the window, go ahead and look outside and notice what the weather is like. You don't want to judge it, you just want to be aware. It's sunny, or I can see clouds, or it's raining, or it's snowing. Just be mindful and notice what there is to notice when you look out the window. Perfect. Now look around the room and notice if there are any paintings or posters, maybe a book. If you have the TV on, my TV's on in the background, TV on, maybe you can notice what's on the TV. Choose something like that and describe it. Not judging it, just describing everything you can about the picture. Notice the colors, the shapes, the content of the picture. Good. How many doors are there? How many lights? What kind of lights are they? Fluorescent, regular, natural sunlight? What color is the carpet or floor? And really look at it and notice it as if you're seeing it for the very first time. Do you see any words printed anywhere in the room? Could be on a poster, I was trying to grab my book. On a book. Again, it could even be on the TV. So if your TV is on, I'm watching the Golden Girls, so I can see the Golden Girls start, play next. So pick one of those words somewhere in the room and read each letter backward. The reason we read it backward is that you want to notice the letters' names themselves as if you're seeing these letters for the very first time. Go ahead and take your time and notice each letter and say it out loud. Perfect. Next, we'll try naming some facts. Tell me the names of cities. As many cities as you can think of. Good. Now, try naming TV shows and movies. Name as many TV shows and movies as you can possibly come up with. Now, name as many animals as you can. Think of every single animal and name every single one you can come up with. If you want, you can choose insects, birds, fish, whatever you want. Just name as many. We're just naming as much as we can think of to name. Okay, so you're doing really great. We're almost done with mental grounding. I want you to notice the number 100. So really picture 100 in your mind. Subtract 5 and notice that new number. So this time it would be 95, right? So just notice 95. And take a minute to really visualize those numbers in your mind. Now subtract 5 again. What's the new number? Keep going for a bit, subtracting 5 and noticing the new number. Don't worry if you can't get the bath, just let it go. I will tell you, for me, and I've been doing this since I was a kid when I was bored in church, I like adding. So I will start with 2 plus 2, which is 4. 4 plus 4 is 8. 8 plus 8, 16. And the first few are easy. I kind of have them memorized. I get up to about 512 plus 512, and then I have to slow down and start thinking a little. The purpose of all of this is just to provide a little distraction, right, from our emotions and our negative thoughts and our really intense being overwhelmed. And especially, we are just putting the prefrontal cortex online. When we get overwhelmed with our big emotions, this turns off. And so mental grounding, above all the others, helps turn this back on. And in turning our prefrontal cortex back on, we can start thinking, we can be a little more logical, we can make decisions a little clearer. The goal of this is not to make bad feelings stop. It's not to get rid of negative emotions. The goal is just to be able to regulate ourselves and to manage our emotions, not make them go away. And really, I don't ever want emotions to go away. Emotions are good, and emotions are what make us us. But I want us to be able to ride them out and be present with them and be regulated. Okay, so other suggestions for mental grounding, and I think I have some on the script also. Look outside. You can count. Counting is great. Count the number of trees and count the street signs you can see. If you're on a busy street, count the number of blue cars that come up in a minute. I had an intern at the Pavilion, which is our local psychiatric hospital, and I remember teaching grounding. I was such a young baby in this field. And one of the patients was like, "Oh, I do that all the time." And what he would do is he would get a book, he'd open the book, and he'd count all the A's on the page, something like that. And I thought that was brilliant. That's grounding, right? So counting, naming facts, listen carefully, and name all the sounds you can hear. So not just hearing them and be mindful of them, but naming them, saying, because again, that's that verbal part of it is important, right? So I hear birds, I hear a plane, I hear the wind in the trees, I hear dogs barking. So just not hearing it, but vocalizing and counting kind of the sounds that you hear. I have coloring as a grounding exercise. I'm not sure what I think about that. And I kind of wonder, I don't know. So try it. I mean, there's nothing wrong with coloring. Coloring is relaxing and fun. I don't know that it would actually help bring the prefrontal cortex online. If you do it and you figure it out, hit me up and let me know. Another one, though, that I think is excellent for grounding, and it's so curious because I guess I'd forgotten this until I found my old script, is like Sudoku puzzles or crossword puzzles, right? Or even probably the word search puzzles. All those puzzles involve your brain being active and working. So it's hard, if you think about it, it's hard to have a panic attack and do a Sudoku puzzle. It is, I would guess, pretty hard to be dissociated and search for random words in a jumble of words. Or it definitely is hard to be raging and yelling and screaming and doing the New York Times crossword puzzle. So puzzles are a great way to ground yourself with the mental part. Okay, so today was short. That's all I've got for mental grounding. If anybody's around, I don't think anybody's actually watching. That's fine, because again, this will be up all over the place. But if you're watching and you have questions, now is the time for them. If you have questions in the future, please always email, text, call. You can use the contact form on my website. You could use Facebook Messenger. I'm a little, I don't know, it creeps me out because I feel like Big Brother's always watching on Facebook. You could message me on YouTube. I get a couple people doing that, not a lot. Again, I feel like Big Brother, especially since it's owned by Google, which I did not know until recently. But you can definitely message me through those forums if you want to. So if you have questions or comments, please hit me up in one of a dozen different ways. If you have suggestions for other topics you'd like me to cover, please drop me a line and let me know about that. I will say next week we're going to talk about physical grounding. It will probably be a short video again. Maybe we'll do physical and soothing. I don't know. I think that's it. So I will say that I am starting to fill up, but I am still accepting new clients. Blue Cross Blue Shield, some Health Alliance plans, private pay, I do not have any more sliding scales available. I did, and that's gone. So, and of course, U of I student insurance is a beautiful insurance. I always accept them. I have limited openings, especially interested in working with people that need EMDR, that have trauma, anxiety, all those things that we can work with and heal from. And I think that's it. Okay. Be safe, be healthy, be happy. I will see you next week. Peace.